Clear the air with Kia.
I wanted to go electric, but I also wanted something built here, not shipped in. That's how I found the EV6, built in the state of Georgia and packed with more United States and Canadian parts than any other car sold here, whether an EV or not. Sleek design, over 300 miles of range, and yeah, the EV6, it's a Kia. Same goes for the EV9. Big, bold, 3 rows, all electric, and assembled in the U.S.
If you're looking for American-built and electric, you don't have to choose. Just start with Kia. Movement that inspires.
4 Thai monks were arrested after testing positive for meth. Yeah, meth. The bad kind of meth. Norman Chad. Welcome to Gambling Mad with Norman Chad. I am Norman Chad. Coming up on the program today, we unearth why Americans keep gambling. We unearth monks in Thailand taking meth. We unearth the Mount Rushmore of movies, and we unearth more communists in your neighborhood. Gambling Mad, as always, brought to you by Fritos, picked straight and fresh off of Central California trees every morning, delivered directly to your local retailer every afternoon. And by the refreshing taste of Fresca. Fritos and Fresca, it's a meal. For the 37th time, let's talk frankly about the downsides of gambling. Unquestionably, we're going to see more gambling scandals in America in the next few years than we have seen in the last few decades. A lot are going to involve college athletes, but with individual prop bets becoming commonplace, we're going to see athletes of all types who will be targets. Occasionally, we're going to see someone accused of throwing a match or taking a dive, so nefarious gambling activity will spread to tennis and boxing and UFC. Hopefully, bowling remains clean. On the other side of the coin, we have the consumers, the everyday gambler. Gambling addiction is going to become more of a public health problem than ever before because gambling has become more accessible than ever before. Despite all of the scandals that will blanket sports and the problems that will blanket sports bettors, the industry, though, is going to continue to grow. Why? Well, there is more money involved, so much more money involved in all of this than ever before. And as a rule, money is the number one factor that drives most of American life. What I find curious about all this, though, is this. Try to think of another industry in both the business at hand and those patronizing the business are constantly at threat, yet that industry continues to thrive. Okay, so let's just take the random example of restaurants. If restaurants themselves were engaged in nefarious activity or were constantly being closed for health violations or constantly spitting in the face of its customer base, and customers themselves were getting sick or constantly overcharged or constantly getting cheated, how long would it be until the restaurant industry collapsed? Restaurants would go out of business if the proprietors were stinking up the place and if the customers were running to the ER all the time. In a way, this defines the current gambling space. On one end, the games can be rigged and can cheat the public. And on the other end, the public can be losing its money most of the time, with some of them fighting a crippling gambling addiction, yet the games go on. How do you figure? It's almost as if gambling customers know they are in an abusive relationship and they cannot get out of it. My solution, as always, is do not gamble. And if you must gamble, make sure it's recreational and not reckless. Make sure you have limits in terms of time and money you spend. Make sure you have people that you know who can monitor your activity to serve as a warning post to keep you from going too far. And please, never bet on bowling. So more people are betting on sports, which means more people are losing money betting on sports, which means more gamblers losing money betting on sports are now harassing or threatening athletes. The latest to discuss this, Ottawa Senators forward Brady Tkachuk. He was interviewed recently by ESPN's Craig Wyshynski, and the NHL star brought up a reality that I had not thought of previously. Some of these losing bettors want their money back from him. Yeah, he's heard from gamblers who hold him responsible for their losing wagers and essentially are seeking a refund from Tkachuk because he did not play well. It doesn't work that way. Am I supposed to shake down eHarmony because my first wife left me? Okay. Anyway, Tkachuk posed a question that's going to frustrate sports bettors when they hear it. They're going to hear it right now. He simply asked, do you really think I care about your parlay? I'm with him on that.
Clear the air with Kia.
I wanted to go electric, but I also wanted something built here, not shipped in. That's how I found the EV6, built in the state of Georgia and packed with more United States and Canadian parts than any other car sold here, whether an EV or not. Sleek design, over 300 miles of range, and yeah, the EV6, it's a Kia. Same goes for the EV9. Big, bold, 3 rows, all electric, and assembled in the U.S.
If you're looking for American built and electric, you don't have to choose. Just start with Kia. Movement that inspires.
Degen's gonna degen. And we return to Thailand. What is going on in Thailand? Recently, we told you an abbot at a prominent Thai temple was charged with embezzling $9 million from the faith group and spending it on online baccarat. And we told you that a woman in Thailand allegedly seduced 9 Buddhist monks, filmed the sexual encounters, blackmailed them for $12 million, and then blew the money on online gambling. And now, 4 Thai monks were arrested after testing positive for meth. Yeah, meth. The bad kind of meth. The monks said they took the drug to ease body pains and to celebrate the beginning of the Buddhist Lent. Meth is pretty versatile that way. All 4 monks were immediately defrocked and are in rehabilitation. For what it's worth, 25 years ago, Robert Downey Jr. was doing meth. He went to rehab, and now he's had such a career renaissance, he probably could open a chain of crystal meth shops at Buddhist monasteries and make millions. Attention, teenage Chick-fil-A customers in Ohio. If you are 17 or under, you cannot enter the Chick-fil-A in Kettering without someone 21 or over accompanying you. Chick-fil-A's now are like R-rated movies. You need adult supervision. Kettering is a suburb of Dayton, Ohio, population about 57,000. That Chick-fil-A location posted a teen chaperone policy on Facebook this week, stating that anyone 17 and under must be accompanied by a parent, guardian, or adult chaperone over 21, and it said that unaccompanied minors may be asked to leave. In the announcement, the franchise wrote that the new rule is to ensure a safe and respectful environment. Kids. Can't we all enjoy a pretzel cheddar club sandwich together without causing a kerfuffle? Apparently, making America great again is not as easy as it looks. By the way, this Chick-fil-A location is not an outlier here. This is another growing trend in the greatest nation on earth. Okay, this year alone in Brooklyn, New York, a crime-ridden McDonald's began carding customers, forbidding anyone under 20 from entering without an adult. And a Target store there also has forbidden 18 and unders from shopping without an adult because of delinquent behavior. Not to mention that I cannot buy a bar of soap in CVS without having to call over security to unlock the case for me. It's good soap, it's Dove. Thank goodness that I can still walk into a Walmart in Arkansas and still buy a shotgun hassle-free for all of my shotgun needs. The Federal Bureau of Investigation, which most of you know as the FBI, contacted me after seeing my segment on communists in America a few weeks ago, and they've asked if I would keep them up to date on future findings. I am a patriot, and I will cooperate. By the way, shout out to MTG, Marjorie Taylor Greene, whose Stop Communism campaign inspired my search for these Bolshevik bastards. Hey, there might not be an Indian under every bush, but there are Reds under every bed. So let's go over to our big map and confirm to the authorities our latest communist sightings. I have been on my moped, gone coast to coast, and yes, we have a communist problem. Let's start on the West Coast, over in Berkeley, home of UC Berkeley. It has more communist-related courses than any university in the country. It has the political economy of China, the rise and fall of world communism. It's all communism there all day long. Communists! Let's go down to Southern California. Hollywood, you know that place is just crawling with communists. Do you remember the film Reds? That doesn't sound good. 1981, Reds. Warren Beatty starred in it as a communist activist. Communists! Let's go to the Midwest, to the great state of Minnesota. In Minnesota, Gus Hall was born. Who is Gus Hall? Gus Hall, 41 years, ran the Communist Party of the United States. 4 times ran as president for the Communist Party ticket. Born in Minnesota, spent a lot of time in Minneapolis. Communists! And then we head to the East Coast. Where are the Communist Party headquarters? Where do you think they are? 223, 235 West 23rd Street in New York City. Communists! This area is fine. For out here, everyone knows communists cannot stand the heat in the kitchen. They will not go to Phoenix. It's going to be 118 degrees this Sunday. Traffic and weather on the 5s all weekend. Now back to the desk. Remember the 10,000 hour rule? Smart guy Malcolm Gladwell once suggested that mastering a skill usually requires 10,000 hours of focused effort and practice. Talent isn't enough. You got to hone that skill. It kind of makes sense, of course. It takes a long time. 10,000 hours is 3 hours a day for 10 years. Well, then there is 10-year-old Badhana Sivanandan of London. She just became the youngest person ever to achieve Woman International Master status in chess. Okay, Grandmaster is your highest chess rank. Woman Grandmaster is the highest title for a female. Badhana, as I mentioned, now Woman International Master, the second highest standing for a female. It came right after she defeated 60-year-old Grandmaster Peter Wells. She was the youngest person ever to defeat a Grandmaster at the British Chess Championships. That's how she reached her ranking. Now, how is it possible that she is this good this young? Her parents are engineers, but they don't play chess at all. She obviously has not been practicing 3 hours a day for 10 years. That would take her back to the maternity ward, to the crib. And all I remember as a baby was sleeping and crying. Okay, I complained a little bit. Badhana started playing the game during the pandemic. That's half a lifetime ago, when she was 5 years old. And she usually practices chess for an hour after school every day. Just an hour. She says she started playing because she was interested in the chess pieces as toys. Heck, that's why I started playing checkers, but I ain't no checkers grandmaster. It just blows my mind that she is 10 years old. What were you doing when you were 10? I know what I was doing. Eating Fritos and drinking Fresca. Time for overlooked inventions. In the past, we have given you items such as the back scratcher, the mirror, the spork. This time we're going to give you something that's more of an innovation than an invention. Hotel room service. In terms of modern conveniences, room service might take the cake. You know, let's say you're at the end of a long travel day in which you had to fly cross country. There's a 2-hour delay. You check into your hotel. You're exhausted. You don't know anybody in town, and you don't want to go out at all. But you are hungry. Bang! Room service. The only thing better than room service is 24-hour room service. You pick up the phone, You order a Caesar, a BLT, and a slice of cheesecake, and they bring it to your room. It's DoorDash before DoorDash without all the fees. Actually, there are some fees. Okay, nothing's perfect. But let me be perfectly frank with you. I could live under a Republican or Democratic White House. I could live under capitalism or communism. I could live under a democracy or under a dictatorship as long as there is room service in every hotel. Time for our Mount Rushmore of movies. Many of you are going to disagree with most of my selections, but I don't give a damn what you think. You know how many films are out there? It's hard to get down to the top 4. I'm going to list them alphabetically. Here we go. Casablanca, 1942. Humphrey Bogart, Ingrid Bergman, the greatest love story ever. The greatest ending you never saw coming. The most quotable lines of any single film. I'm shocked to find that gambling is going on in here. It is an utterly stirring and perfect 102 minutes. Next, The Godfathers, Part 1 and 2, 1972 and 1974. I'm cheating here. I'm counting the 2 movies as one so that I don't have to choose between them. I'm also discounting and ignoring Godfather 3 because, like Fredo, it is the dumb third sibling. The Godfather defines America even more, say, than The Big Lebowski. And just look at the starting 5 The Godfather put onto the court acting-wise. Marlon Brando, Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, James Caan, Robert Duvall. That's a dream team. Viewer discretion. There is some violence. Next, His Girl Friday, 1940. I know you've never heard of it. You didn't even think they were making movies back in 1940. It's in black and white, like Casablanca. Cary Grant, Rosalind Russell. You never heard of either of them? Google them, you huckadoodles. It's what they used to call a screwball comedy, but it is simply good comedy, and its dialogue puts Judge Judd Apatow to shame. It is the greatest newspaper film ever made. It couldn't be made today because nobody reads newspapers anymore. Well, I guess technically it could be remade, and then it would be the greatest online media site film ever. And finally, The Princess Bride, 1987. You know how sometimes you're clicking around on a weekend or late at night with your remote, and there are certain movies, doesn't matter if they're 20 minutes in or 20 minutes away from the finish, that you just got to stop and watch the rest of it. The Princess Bride is my number one example of that. It is from the mind of the late, great William Goldman. It is a fairy tale, and it is inconceivable. It is endlessly entertaining. It is good start to finish. I'm not going to tell you any more about it in case you have not seen it, so that you can absorb the full wonder of The Princess Bride as a Princess Bride virgin. There you got it. Your Mount Rushmore of movies: Casablanca, Godfather Parts 1 and 2, His Girl Friday, and The Princess Bride.
Clear the air with Kia.
San Francisco driving is wild. Steep hills, tight streets, and traffic that's slower than the fog. But my Kia Hybrid loves it. All those hills help charge the battery. I went from the marina to Bernal Heights, detoured to Oakland, then drove the coast to Half Moon Bay. Still haven't filled up.
Kia hybrids like the Niro and Sportage hybrid go further on a single tank. No chargers, no stress. And with regenerative braking tech that turns stop and go into smart efficiency, you'll drive more and fill up less. Find your balance at kia.com. Kia, movement that inspires.
All right. Before we wrap up, I'm going to say this one time and one time only. When I hear someone say MLS, I think of real estate property listings. I do not think of Major League Soccer. I'm not proud of this, but I'm not embarrassed either. MLS has been around for 30 seasons, and I have ignored it for 30 seasons. The World Cup, an amazing spectacle every 4 years. MLS, I'd rather go to the hardware store and buy a Phillips screwdriver. I cannot name 5 MLS teams. I cannot name 5 MLS players. I can rattle off World Series winners, Super Bowl winners, NBA championship winners, even some Stanley Cup winners. I have no idea which MLS team has won a title in any season at any time. They are about 3/4 through the 2025 MLS regular season, and I didn't realize that until yesterday. There's just, so much going on these days that, I decided that in the second half of my natural life, I could not follow the Kardashians and Major League Soccer. Something had to give. By the way, did you know Kim Kardashian recently hinted at a return to blonde hair? And she's also reportedly using artificial intelligence chatbot boyfriends to practice her dating skills. I'm not kidding. It's true. That'll do it for another edition of Gambling Mad with Norm and Chad. Hope to see you again next time. And remember, if you're going to roll the dice, make sure they're loaded. I left my house the other day, and after about 5 minutes in the car, realized I'd left my iPhone at home. I froze up immediately. Damn, I thought, what am I going to do without my phone? I suddenly felt naked walking down the middle of the street. No iPhone, no GPS, no texting, no calls, no connection to the outside world. Should I go back to get it? What am I going to do if I don't have it for the next 3 or 4 hours? And then, thankfully, I came to my senses. I had lived most of my life without this technological tether, so why did I need it now? What is wrong with me? What is wrong with us? Let's put down our phones and smell the American pie. Let's put down our phones and see people eye to eye. Let's put down our phones and look up to the sky. What am I, a rapper now? Phone free, I roam, feeling so light. The world's alive in the pure daylight. No phone in hand, I'm light as a breeze. Embrace all the world with unfiltered ease. Hey, Blue, Blue, Blue. I'm not gambling mad this week. You're a little late.
Gambling Mad with Norm and Chad is written by Norm and Chad and ghost-written by Norm and Chad. Executive producers are John Scheinberg and Rick Barrio-Dill. Produced by Norm and Chad and Rick Barrio-Dill. Our associate producers are Bree Khoury and Asher Friedberg, and edited by Asher Friedberg with studio facilities at 360 Pod Studios, Beverly Hills.
Clear the air with Kia.
San Francisco driving is wild. Steep hills, tight streets, and traffic that's slower than the fog. But my Kia Hybrid loves it. All those hills help charge the battery. I went from the Marina to Bernal Heights, detoured to Oakland, then drove the coast to Half Moon Bay. Still haven't filled up.
Kia hybrids like the Niro and Sportage hybrid go further on a single tank. No chargers, no stress. And with regenerative braking tech that turns stop and go into smart efficiency, you'll drive more and fill up less. Find your balance at kia.com. Kia, movement that inspires.